You had the task of breaking down Jayden Daniels. What were your thoughts coming away from that?
Very good quarterback, lots of upside. You love his athleticism. He's got an accurate arm. I didn't come away wowed, I would say. I didn't come away from it saying this guy is 100% going to be a superstar. But there's glimpses where he's running down the field looking like Lamar Jackson, and he throws these perfect downfield passes for touchdowns. Um, it's just a little bit more inconsistent. Otherwise, it scares me a little bit that he's older than the rest of these guys. He's 23 years old, didn't break out till he was in his fifth year in college when he had two first round picks at wide receiver to throw to. There's some concerning aspects, but there's also a lot to like about him. And he got better as the season went along as well.
What about his size when you're looking at it and the way he takes hits? A big concern from people you hear is,
Yeah.
the injury risk. What did you see?
I absolutely agree with it. I mean, he's listed at 6'4", 210 pounds, and that might be generous. And early in the season, at least, he fixed it a little bit late, but he would just take these massive hits. Like he would not slide. I think it's the combination of his fearlessness, toughness, and his size that he would just get blown up by these defenders. And yeah, that can work in college when the defenders are, a linebacker's maybe 230 and not 250, and they're running a 4.7, not a 4.3. But in the NFL, there's a lot of fear there that could lead to injuries. He was fortunate that it really didn't that much in college. But yeah, I mean, that's the number one thing that when you're talking to scouts around the NFL and ask about Jayden Daniels, the number one weakness they always bring up is his thin frame. So it's definitely a concern, and it's not one that's there for Drake May. JJ McCarthy's not quite as big as Drake May, but yeah, Jayden Daniels, he's not probably going to fill out that frame much more than he has now.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because when I was, looking at tape and everybody was talking about Jayden Daniels, I'm like, okay, let's Google the highlight reel and let's see what I can find. I noticed a couple of things. Number one, he did have a line that would open up some holes for him, but the hits I did see him take or bounce off of, you just described it perfectly, Doug. They weren't NFL sized linebackers or defensive linemen that were getting after him. They were, decent players in that conference, but nothing like he would be facing in the NFL. And you wonder, okay, he's got some durability to him. I just don't know if it lasts beyond week one when he has to face some real NFL sized competition in terms of size and speed on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then also, obviously, everyone talks about, all right, he's facing off against SEC defenders, which high quality football, as close to the NFL as you're going to get in college. But I also had some concerns earlier in the season more than later in the season, actually about his pure speed. When he's running downfield, when he gets ahead of steam, he can run by everyone. But there were even times early in the season when he was having a little bit of trouble beating a linebacker to the edge. So, like I said, there's definitely times that he looks like he's Lamar Jackson out there, but I question how much the running ability is going to perfectly translate from college to the NFL when these guys are a lot faster, they're a lot bigger, and not only the physicality aspect and holding up against these hits, but also his ability to continue to run by defenders the way they did in college.
Do you take him at number 3 if he's there?
I would. There's enough there. He's very accurate. Some of these deep balls, like he's just got this innate ability to hit his wide receivers in the perfect part of the end zone on these deep touchdown passes. Like I started laughing while I was watching the tape, being like, he was like at the 40-yard line or so, throwing the ball back down deep. I'm like, that's going to be a touchdown. It's 100% going to hit in the perfect part of the end zone. And it did. So there's enough there. And I think the Patriots so desperately need a quarterback for the future that they need to take a shot there, no matter who's there, whether it's, Drake May or Jayden Daniels at number 3 overall. I'm not quite as high on JJ McCarthy, but I see some strengths there. And there's just no guarantee that one of these players is going to be available for them in the future to build the team around. So certainly concerns. Like I said, I'm not sure if I see a superstar there, but he definitely has the ability to be dangerous in the NFL.
Okay, so you mentioned JJ McCarthy because Callahan talked about May yesterday. J.J. McCarthy, I don't know where it came from, but whatever. Someone said the Patriots are interested in him. It doesn't matter. But what are the knocks on him? Why is he not in the same league as May and Daniels?
For me, it's because Michigan's offense just didn't rely on him. I mean, I know this gets into like kind of more boring territory, but there's average depth of quarterback for average depth of target for quarterbacks. J.J. McCarthy's was far lower than Jayden Daniels and Drake May. He's not, throwing deep as often. He's definitely kind of dinking and dunking a little bit more than those guys. The things that I like about him is that he'll be 21 years old for all of next season. He's the youngest quarterback in this class. So there's a lot to build on there. I know that Scott Zolak's talked about it before, but when I started watching him, the number one thing I saw was his footwork. Like, he keeps his feet planted in place, ready to throw at any point in the pocket, which is something that I think is difficult to teach once a quarterback gets to the NFL. So him already having that in place is definitely a strength, but there's much more to build up and to see from J.J. McCarthy that you just didn't see from him quite as much as from Drake May and Jayden Daniels in college.
The interesting thing about McCarthy is that he played for, a power program with a power coach and played. So there's two ways you could look at it, because I could say, he dinked and dunked in the Penn State game. He didn't have to throw the ball and this, that. But I could also make the argument, like, he played within that offense. You can explain the Penn State game almost in that Harbaugh's like, I want to win this game. I want to make a statement. We're going to win this game just running the ball because you coming after me and you're trying to suspend me. Like, I'm going to just, Penn State's got a good run defense. We're just going to run it down their throat. I'm not even going to throw the effing thing. You know that Harbaugh's that kind of guy. So McCarthy was such like a stud coming out of high school, and the idea that he was willing to play within those constraints, I'm wondering if that's as big a negative as people are making it out to be.
No, I definitely see some logic in that. And I would also say that clearly what Michigan was doing last season was working. So there's really no reason to stray from how Jim Harbaugh was running his offense. And I think it leaves a little bit of that unknown. Since we didn't see it all in college, that maybe he would bloom and be an even better and more dominant player in the NFL. I think he's really athletic. I think he's got a good arm. And like I said, that footwork is really appealing. We just didn't see it necessarily on film or on the stat sheet as often as we did with Daniels and May, which would give me a little bit of pause. But almost everyone that I've talked to, or actually everyone that I've talked to, has had him as the fourth quarterback behind Caleb Williams, Jayden Daniels, and Drake May. But ultimately, it all comes down to what Elliot Wolf thinks. And I followed up on that report a week or two ago that the Patriots liked him, or that Elliot Wolf liked him, with someone in the building. And what he said, he was like, Elliot Wolf is keeping us in the dark about how he feels about quarterbacks. So I'm not sure if he's going on blabbing to other NFL GMs about how he feels, but who knows? Maybe he is the guy. But I'd be a little bit surprised if Elliot Wolf is making that known around the league.
Well, it's that secondary leap of faith you would have to take, because, as you said, all right, how come he didn't do more? Well, they didn't rely on him enough. They didn't need to rely on him at Michigan. Okay, well, there is that expectation. Well, if they just would have, they could have. You don't know. I mean, so there's enough unknowns with all these guys without adding more into
projection is a difficult thing when you have the third overall pick in the draft.
I just have heard he's just this incredibly physically gifted kid, in that he could do a lot of stuff and he wasn't asked to do it. So, and they won a national championship, so you can't argue with it. So, it is what it is. All right, Doug Kyed, read his breakdown of Jayden Daniels in the Boston Herald. Thank you so much for the time, sir.
Absolutely. Anytime, Fred. Thanks, Hardy. Thanks, John.
We appreciate it. There you go.